Hello children, today we will go through the lesson The Snake and the Mirror from Unit 1 Part A. This is a narrative. This is a narrative because it describes an event. The entire focus is on an event. It is not a story because the beginning and the ending is not given. That is, the origin of the plays and all those details are not given. Hence, it is a narrative, though it is similar to a story. Now, let's get into the incident. Now, the lesson itself starts with the question, has a snake ever coiled itself round any part of your body? This is to trigger the curiosity of the reader, whether what's there with the snake, what happened with the person or the one who is associated with the story. So this is a type of imbibing the curiosity, kindling the curiosity of the reader. And now, in this story, we see that the homeopath, there is a doctor, he is a homeopath. Homeopath is nothing but a person who practices homeopathy medicine. And this homeopath is narrating an event to many of the people. This is understood from the third line. We listened attentively. That means there are many listeners over there. And here goes the incident this way. It was a hot night and the narrator had his meal in a restaurant and he came home, and as soon as he opened the door he heard a sound, and then he was doubting whether it was any strange one, and then he thought that it would be the sound of the rats because he and the rats shared the same room. You can look at that in the picture here. Here you can see two rats in the picture and the narrator sitting in front of a lamp. This shows that the room was not electrified, no power current or no power supply over there, and you can see the one and only coat that he had. That is, this shows that his earnings were very meager. Meager means very less, and then he was trying to sleep, and that day even the breeze was not there. There was no moving breeze that day. So he was trying to get sleep. He even pushed his cot towards the window. Then too, as there was no moving air there, he couldn't get sleep. So the only formula that we all use to get sleep, that is to read a book. So that is what the narrator also did. He started reading a book, and that book is Materia Medica. That is to gain more knowledge on the medical field, that is which is he is practicing now. And then there was a mirror in front of him. You can look at that in the picture over there. And as he was reading the book, you all know when there is a mirror in front of us, nothing in the world can make us concentrate on anything else other than the mirror. The same way it happened with the narrator. He got easily tempted and distracted, and then he started looking into his image, his reflection in the mirror, and he started admiring his own image. And then he was a bachelor and moreover a doctor, and being a doctor the presence need to be felt, so he always was a bit appearance conscious. So he picked up the comb, he started running it through his hair, and he started making the partitions, and he felt that he was handsome. And then that day he took two great decisions. That is, he made an important decision that he would grow a thin mustache to look more handsome, and then he also said that he will keep that attractive smile on his face to look even more handsome. And then again the noise he heard, and then he thought again that it might be the sound of the rat, and then he lit up a BD and he was strolling from here to there, and thought leads to thought. You all know the same way with his thoughts over his looks, over his handsome looks, he he started thinking about his marriage, and he thought that he should get married to a woman who has a lot of money, and she too should be a doctor with a good medical practice so that he can make a little more money. And then he felt that the woman should be a fat one, because even if he does any silly mistake and he runs away, she should not be able to catch him. So with all these thoughts and imagination, he was strolling here and there, and then he again sat in the chair, and then there were more sounds of that sort whichever he ignored so far. Now there were so much of sound of that, and suddenly he wanted to check out what actually the sound was, and there was a thud as if a rubber tube had fallen down. And so he thought that he should now at least be bothered. Now at least he should notice where actually the sound is coming from, what is making the sound. By the time he could move around and see, he saw a snake, and that snake wriggled over the back of his chair and landed on over his shoulder. And this was all happening within a wink of an eye. All that happened, and he did not jump or tremble or shout, because if he does any of this, there is no guarantee for his life. So he did not dare do such things, and he was sitting as calm as possible, and the snake slowly slithered along his shoulder and coiled around his left arm and then above his elbow, and then its hood was just 2 to 3 inches from his face, and it was like he was just 3 to 4 inches away from death. And he was holding his breath very tight, because a little bit of breath also might make the snake assume that he was alive and it may bite him. So he was very much afraid, and he became like a stone image. That is, he stopped all his breath and he became an inanimate object over there. That is, he felt that he was a statue of stone. And then, with being in a helpless condition, whom we all remember at the critical position, yes, it is God that we remember. Similarly, the narrator also remembered God, and then he wanted to speak to God, but he was afraid if he tells something wrong, God might get angry and everything would end up in a disaster. So he said that he would write only one word or 2 words, "Oh God," and that too with his imagination outside the wall of his heart. That is, "Oh God." At least looking at that, God might have mercy on him. And as the snake had coiled round his arm, it was paining a lot, because blood movement has clotted there, and if he moves a little bit, the snake would bite him, the snake would strike him, and he had no medicine at all. For I said his earnings were very meager, and he didn't have any first aid in his house also. And then now I said he prayed to God. Maybe God liked his prayer and he showed a little bit of mercy. How he showed it is, the snake slowly tilted his head towards the mirror, and it looked at its image in the mirror. Maybe it was very much carried away, or it was very much tempted to look at its own image in the mirror, and it started admiring its own beauty. And the narrator was wondering whether the snake was trying to grow a thin mustache, or whether it was going to think of putting a bindi or any eyelash and mascara, but he was not sure whether the snake was a man or a woman. And then whatever it was, thank God, the snake unwound itself and it started admiring its own beauty. It started going towards the mirror, and with his life being saved, the narrator ran to his friend's house, and then he gave a sigh of relief, and he smeared oil all over his body, and now he was really thanking God for saving his life. And the next day, as he felt it was unsafe to stay in that house, he felt that he need to vacate the house, and so he went with his friends to his house, and to his surprise, there was nothing at all in the house, you can see that in the picture over here, there is nothing left in the room, no suitcase, no book, none of the materials that were there in the previous picture are here. The pillows, the bed sheets, everything has been emptied, but there is one thing hanging over there. It is the vest. Vest means the banyan. So he says that the thief had robbed everything, but he didn't take the vest. But this was really a sign of insult to him, he says. So this is the humor hidden inside the entire story. Hope you all understood this story. Thank you for watching. Thank you and have a blessed day. Thank you.